Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? Today we're going to be going right back into Pioneer, and instead of playing a little bit of Mono Blue like we've been playing, or Bant Spirits, which has seen a little bit of an uptick here in Pioneer, we're going to be taking a look at a sweet Japanese list that I saw, and this list is awesome. It takes spirits in a little bit of a new direction, which I think is going to be healthy for Azorius pilots, and we're going to be tweaking it just a bit to be what I think is slightly more optimal for today's metagame. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened here. So in this list, the pilot's name was Matsunaga Takahiro, and they got first place in an event at Hareruya, which is a name that some of you will probably know from having bought Japanese cards before. And as we see on the left-hand side here, this deck list has a bit of a bigger version of spirits than we've been used to seeing in any of the versions, including Bant. Here we've got 25 creatures, which is pretty run-of-the-mill. It's on the lower end, but that lower end is right in line with most mono blue builds, so that's not even that weird for us. And most of the usual culprits are all there. We've got 4 Mausoleum Wanderer, Supreme Phantom, Rattle Chain, Spell Queller, cool, normal stuff. For the rest of the creature base here, we've got 2 Spectral Sailors so that you have 6 1-drops. That still gives you plenty of aggressive stuff happening. We also have 2 copies each of Brazen Borrower, Selfless Spirit, and Cemetery Illuminator. Selfless Spirit, of course, helps a lot against blue-white, which has been seeing an uptick in play. I think the deck's really good right now. Brazen Borrower helps with a lot of stuff, and I don't even know that you only want to be playing 2. I think Brazen Borrower is very good right now. And then Cemetery Illuminator helps with a ton of matchups. The implied card advantage is really nice against the grindy decks that are trying to help you out of the game with things like Supreme Verdicts, Planeswalkers, all kinds of shenanigans, right? And it's one of your few ways to keep up on cards. But also, managing the graveyard's really important right now. There's a lot of Griefsfang decks running around, there's black-red mid-range, which has both Graveyard Trespasser and Kroxa, and either of those are reason enough to want to manage opponent's graveyard, or sometimes your own. And this deck gets to play one of Skyclave Apparition. Now, I've said before that I don't really like Skyclave too much in Pioneer, but I can excuse one. It does solve some problems, especially from the mono green Devotion deck, so if you want to play a Skyclave, by all means go for it. The counterspells, close to the same. This is not a Curious Obsession list, so we're going to be defaulting to 4 copies of Lofted Denial and 1 copy of Geistlight Snare. We're playing 3 copies of Shark Typhoon, and that is a card that I've explored, haha, in Explorer, but I think it's actually pretty decent here. You get an instant speed threat, it replaces itself, and in a pinch, you can even cycle it for just 2 mana and it's still fine. We have Planeswalkers, 3 copies of the Wandering Emperor, which I have said on this channel before that I'm very, very excited about potentially trying in Spirits, and here it is. But also, 1 copy of Elspeth Resplendent, and I think this card's alright. It costs 5 mana, and her +1 is that you get to put a +1 counter on a creature, but also give it a counter, and you choose between, I think it's First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, and something else. Oh, flying, duh, but everything already flies. And the -3 is you dig through the top 7 cards of your deck, you put a creature that costs 3 or less onto the table, and that creature gets a shield counter. I think the shield counter is pretty exciting out of that. And then I think it's -7, you get 5 flying 3/3 angels, which is whatever, it's neither here nor there. The lands are another really sweet spot for this deck. This list is going to be playing a copy of Hall of Storm Giants, which is by far the biggest creature land available to our color base, or any creature land in Magic actually, unless you count a super ultra pumped Lair of the Hydra, but at its base that's a 0/0, so I'm not counting that. We're playing the biggest creature land here. You get to have an Otawara, you get an Iganjo. Both of these are cards that I've praised before in the past. I will definitely praise them again, they're very good. A medium-large pile of basics at 6 basics here, 1 Glacial Fortress, and then 4 each of your usual culprits here. 4 Hengate Pathways, 4 Hallowed Fountains, and a card that I have tried before, Deserted Beach. Now, this deck having 23 lands and trying to get to an endgame that contains Shark Typhoon and Hall of Storm Giants, I actually like the 4 copies of Deserted Beach. Perfect mana. After turn 2, get access to 0 pain when getting your perfect mana, which is great. And it makes for a mana base that is almost as stable as mono blue. Nothing is exactly as stable as Mono Blue, and that includes literally every single deck in the format, up to and including Mono Red. Mono Blue's mana is hilariously stable. The sideboard here is another thing that I actually kind of like. So there's 3 copies of Mystical Dispute and 3 copies of Portable Hole, and these are both cards that I've praised in the past. You have 2 copies of Damping Sphere, which are good against both Mono Green and Lotus Field. Again, a thing I like. There are 2 copies of Supreme Verdict, and this is going to be one that people are probably going to be like, whoa, hold up. You're playing a creature deck. Why the hell are you playing Supreme Verdict? Well, that actually works out for 2 reasons. First, the Supreme Verdict, you're not going to be ahead in all of your games, right? Like, you're just playing 1/1s and 2/1s a lot of the time, and your opponents will be playing better creatures than you, because that's kind of how Spirits works. You play worse creatures, but they have amazing synergy. Your opponents are sometimes just going to be playing decks like Mono Green, or playing decks like Red Black, or, playing Mono Blue Spirits. And Supreme Verdict is really good against all of those things. Another cool thing with Supreme Verdict is that you can sacrifice your own Self of Spirit, give your stuff indestructible, and then Supreme Verdict turns into Plague Wind because none of your stuff's going to die and all of their stuff's going to die. There's a copy of Rest in Peace in here, which I'm a fan of. I think I like Cemetery Illuminator a little better, but there's already 2 of those in the main. There's a second Skyclave Apparition here, which I think is fine. There's an Archon of Emeria. That's a card I've loved. I don't know how much I love it in a deck that doesn't have mana dorks, but the card is very good and should be respected. There's a copy of Baneslayer Angel, which I actually think is a pretty big deal against mono red decks, right? Like just a big ass flying 5/5 lifelinker. Super sweet. What's to not like? And a copy of Farewell. Oh boy, this person is not messing around. Farewell is really good in the blue-white decks, and, well, this is a blue-white deck. Obviously, it's a different style of blue-white deck, but getting to exile all of the relevant things from, say, your mono-green opponent's side of the table is actually a pretty big game, so I don't know that I hate the card in here. I don't know that I would actually want to play a copy of Farewell on my own, but I don't hate it by any means. So now that we know where we're getting the sample deck list from, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what it means versus playing a regular blue-white deck, right? So here, of course, you have 23 lands. So more lands simply means less mulligans. So you're going to mulligan a lot less when you have more lands in your deck, and that's something that a lot of control decks and standard decks have adopted for a pretty long time. Even the Abzan control decks from like Khans of Tarkir Standard still played something between 26 and sometimes as high as 28 lands, just so that you can make all of your land drops and play your good cards. This deck is looking to adopt the same principle, but we're playing 23 instead of 21 or 22. Planeswalkers and Shark Typhoon do provide a much more robust endgame than we're used to having, which is certainly true in this list. Playing white does allow for a lot of stronger sideboard options than mono blue usually gives you. Here you get to play cards that just end games, right? Like you get to play Rest in Peace, you get to play things like Skyclave Apparition, you get to play Sweepers, Baneslayer Angel's really good against red decks, you get to play Portable Hole instead of Witness Protection. This deck does a lot of things that mono blue just doesn't have access to. And since you're not playing Bant, you actually get to play with a somewhat stable mana base. Bant's mana base is easily the worst. I hate the mana base for that deck. And other than the fact that I usually whiff on collected companies, it's a lot of the reason why I just never play Bant. Like, I hate the mana for that deck, and I still believe that we need a lot more lands to enter the Pioneer just card base as a whole before I'd really be willing to play Bant. And Azorius solves that problem by simply playing a smoother 2-color mana base. However, there are downsides. You're not playing mono blue, so you don't get to play Faceless Haven, and that is a big deal. When you need to do things like pressuring planeswalkers, recovering post-sweeper to, deal with your opponent, you don't have that creature land to be able to back you up without, investing additional resources, like, say, your Skyclave Apparition, or maybe a Spell Queller that you have to expose to danger. Mono blue doesn't have to do that. They just get to play a creature land. There is one copy of the Hall of Storm Giants here, but even that requires that you put 6 mana into it, so, that's not exactly the best post-sweeper thing to be doing. Not playing green does mean that you're not playing Collected Company, and in a land with 23 lands, in a deck with 23 lands, not playing Collected Company is a pretty big deal because your highest mana payoffs here are going to be Shark Typhoon tokens, which, to be fair, are good, but paying 4 mana to get a 2/2 and draw a card is a lot worse than resolving a Collected Company. Also, the Wandering Emperor is very good. Is she better than Collected Company? I think specifically for Spirits, the answer is no, but she's a good enough card to the point where, honestly, I think we're fine with that. And then, of course, you're not playing Watcher of Spheres or Empyrean Eagle in your blue-white deck. That does mean that you're going to have a lot less of those really explosive draws, and you're just naturally playing a slower deck. So those are going to be things to take away from this list when looking and seeing exactly what we're going to be doing here today. So what we've done is adjusted this list a bit, and this is what I've kind of arrived at for playing Azorius today. Here, we're going to be going ahead and playing the same 23 land base, except I have changed around a few things. I've put in a second copy of Glacial Fortress here, and I've changed around the basics so that we're playing 4 islands in just 2 plains. But for the most part, the rest of it is exactly the same. Again, 23 lands. I love the 4 copies of Deserted Beach, so I kept that. We're keeping the Hall of Storm Giants, although I'll be honest, that's, I think, a little sketchy, but whatever, I want to play it. And most of the rest of here is very different, but we're keeping a lot of the same endgame stuff. I kept the Wandering Emperors. I do still like playing a sweet endgame threat with Flash. I'm playing copies of UC Guard Approach because there's going to be a lot of burn, a lot of red-black, and a lot of blue-white, all decks that play a shit ton of removal. I'm going to be playing a third copy of Selfless Spirit. I expect there to be a lot of removal-based decks here, and again, beating Supreme Verdict is a pretty big deal, and it's a huge highlight of playing specifically Azorius. So I'm going to lean into that a little harder with a third copy of Selfless Spirit. Lofty Denial, that's not changing. I think that was a great include. I'm going to be playing just 1 copy of Cemetery Illuminator, but I have moved a second one to the board. And we're going to be playing 2 copies of Absorb on top of the 4 Lofty Denials. Absorb is our acknowledgement that we are going to be facing at least a decent amount of aggressive decks, like Heroic, like Mono Red, etc. And it's a hard counter against Mono Green, which will probably end up mattering at some point. Of course, we're keeping these. And we're playing a third copy of Brazen Bower. Now, Brazen Bower is a card that, like I said, I've super loved, and it's a huge deal against a lot of decks that are looking to resolve one big giant threat, or just get rid of you with cards that provide 2-for-1s. So, in the example of things like Red-Black, they're going to be playing cards like Chandra, Sorin the Mirthless, Graveyard Trespasser, and even though Graveyard Trespasser has Ward, these are still all things that you're going to want to get rid of, right? Like, if they plus onto Chandra, you can bounce it back to their hand. They can have their 2 mana, but whatever. If you have a Sorin, they're probably going to make a 2/3 vampire. Cool, you bounce the vampire, resolve a threat, kill Sorin, move along with your day. And against decks like Mono Green, you can just get rid of really whatever the relevant threat is, or the relevant blocker, like Cavalier of Thorns, Karn the Great Creator, or whatever Karn gets. You can bounce a Voracious Hydra that's trying to fight one of your creatures. There's a lot of applications for Brazen Bower right now, and I think it's really good. The sideboard, I've wanted to streamline this a little bit, and I understand the sweepers, but I don't really like them. So what I did here was put in a 4th copy of Portable Hole, and I think this is going to be good against a lot of the low-to-the-ground decks that we otherwise would lose to. We're playing Elira on top of the Baneslayer Angel, so we've got 2 5/5 lifelinking angels in the sideboard now, on top of 2 copies of Knockout Blow. Again, I think this archetype is still fairly scared of Mono Red, and we've got 8 solid white cards that can come in against it. Things like the Angels are also just really good against other decks too, though. So if you're playing against Red-Black, just having a big-ass flyer is great. If you're playing against Mono Green, having a big-ass flyer is great. Have you seen a trend here? In our rest of our cards, blue, we've got 3 copies of Disdainful Stroke, and this is primarily going to have Mono Green's name on it. But it's also pretty good against things like Teferi 5, Farewell out of the blue-white decks, and a whole bunch of other stuff that you just may or may not be familiar with or have to read when you come across. Oh yeah, this also hits every single delve threat from Neoform. We've got 3 copies of Mystical Dispute. That one, I've talked about at length on this channel a million times. I still think it's good, and I think 3 is probably the right number, so I kept that. And like we said, we got the second copy of Cemetery Illuminator. So that's going to be the list we're playing today. I'm very, very interested in seeing how this bigger version of Blue-White Spirits ends up actually playing out. We're going to get right into a 5-match league. I will see y'all in round 1. Alright, we got round 1, we're on the draw, but I've got a 5-lander, which is definitely not a keep. Here I've got a pretty acceptable 3-lander, which I am going to keep. And here I'm going to pitch the basic plains on the draw. I've got a 1-drop I want to play, a 2-drop I want to play. Yeah, let's do that. And we'll see if I regret putting a land back a little later here, but let's for now celebrate our pretty good opener, Watery Grave. Okay, so we're likely playing against one of the blue-black control decks, which is not the worst matchup. It's not great, but we'll see what happens here. Let's do this. Click the yield all button. So this is actually medium exciting. So let's go ahead and get my attack on here. And I'm going to do this with the intent to play Rattle Chains. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything about that. So this is where we find out whether it's actually blue-black control or whether it is Grease Fang. Okay, basic island is the pitch. So we have no information still. Okay, so we're just playing another thing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this anyway. If this is like a Sinister Sabotage, I don't mind using Mausoleum Wanderer here. But if it's just like a Censor or Drawar Disruption, then I guess that's fine too. Make disappear. Close enough. No, I will not be doing that. Sweet. We got a 3rd land. So here, I'm going to go ahead and get my attack on, and I can choose between Brazen Borrower and Absorb, so I think I will do that. Okay, so let's cast our friend here. So other than exactly a Shark Typhoon token, I don't really think there's too much I can regret from this, but if they counter this, then I'm probably fine with that too. Soul Shatter, understood. And a land is actually a pretty good draw here. So I'm going to play Mausoleum Wanderer, keeping up my Absorb. And this is going to be the part where we find out whether our opponent is holding something like a Dig Through Time or some other devastating thing to kind of get back into this game here. But for now, I'm fairly satisfied with my 2 Mausoleum Wanderers. And I'm currently not regretting the putting back of the land. So is this. So let's go ahead and get my attack on here. And a 3/3 shark is going to be absolutely miserable, but not much I can do about that if that's what they have. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and just pass. I want exactly 1 more land so that I can play this and continue to hold up the Absorb. Draw 2, huh? I actually am gonna Absorb that. I don't know that I'm gonna have a better target for that anytime soon, so. And I've still got the UC Guard approach to give one of my Wanderers hexproof, so I'm actually fairly satisfied with that counterspell. And there we go. Hexproof, hi, leave my friends alone. Okay, so there's a Watery Grave. And we've got 5 lands up. So now, a Spectral Sailor is not bad. Let's see if this catches a counterspell. So, and Fatal Push on this. Yeah, you got it. So now this is going to be a 2. So I'm still going to attack here. And if they respond with a Shark Typhoon to block, okay, they don't. I was going to say, but if they did, then I was actually going to be able to have this to make my Mausoleum Wanderer a 3/3, outpacing the Shark Typhoon. So that would have been really great if that ended up being what happened here. But our opponent's currently only working with 2 cards, so I won't say that I dislike that. What is this? Shadow's Verdict. Okay, so here I get to Spectral Sailor, giving my Mausoleum Wanderer an extra point of power and toughness, and that will let me just do this. And now I can counter the Shadow's Verdict, untap with these 2, and threaten to be able to draw cards with my Spectral Sailor too. So that's really good for me. Okay. I think I'm going to do this now before my opponent has a chance to actually produce a counterspell. So I'm just going to do this and make my Spectral Sailor a 2/2, take them down to 8, and Wandering Emperor is obviously a lot better when you can cast it at instant speed, but if my blue-black control opponent's going to be almost tapped out, then yeah, I was going to say then I'll be pretty happy to resolve my friend. So we take game 1. And against blue-black control, I want Mystical Disputes and Disdainful Strokes. Cards that I don't really want here include what? Cemetery Illuminator is decent, but ultimately a bit medium. I don't really need 3 mana counterspells in this matchup. And the other 3 cards that I don't really want are named what? I think Selfless Spirit is actually medium here. So most of their cards that remove cards from play are going to be named Fatal Push or don't actually destroy anything. For example, Shadow's Verdict doesn't destroy anything. It exiles all of the things. And the other ones they could be playing, like Yahenni's Expertise or Languish, any of those other sweepers. Oh, Extinction Event's another big one. None of those things actually destroy anything. So Selfless Spirit is okay, but ultimately medium in this matchup. So this is what we're going to be doing against Dimir control. So let's take out the cards we don't really want, submit the ones that we do, and we will be on the draw here. So I've got no blue sources here, so this hand's going back. The cool thing about having a deck with 23 lands though, this is probably going to be able to mulligan relatively well, which is nice. Okay. this is actually not that bad. So I'm going to pitch the Wandering Emperor that I'm nowhere near casting. And, oh, looks like they also took a mulligan. That's cool. So here, this is a pretty clear Mystical Dispute. So I'm just not going to walk into it if I don't have to. Okay. Actually, is that even true? No, it's still true. Let's untap. I do like the Lofty Denial draw, but here I would prefer another land. So no cycles. Okay. Field of Ruin. So if they get rid of this, I have a basic plains I can get. So here I'm going to Spectral Sailor, see if they want to Field of Ruin or Mystical Dispute. Sinister Sabotage. No, I'm still going to dispute that. Let's just make them deal with everything, especially since I have 2 Lofty Denials. So yeah, do some work, opponent. Supreme Phantom, when they have, I guess they could do this and then Fatal Push with black mana. I think I'm still okay with that, because if that is their play, I can get another blue source and then cast UC Guard Approach. Oh crap, oops, that's on me. I hope that doesn't matter. That was not good. Okay, so they have 4 blue sources for Deluge. Yeah, sure. Obviously, I don't like letting them resolve that, but if we're going to be doing things like skipping through our attack step, then yeah, whoops. I guess I deserve to get a little punished here. But that is going to be their entire turn, since that was their turn 4. So I've got a 3rd Lofty. Don't really want that now. I want more lands. Okay, so they have their black source now. So we have a little bit of work to do. A 3rd land would be so wonderful, because then I can... Yes! Thank you! So now let's see what ends up happening. If they cycle a Shark for 3, I legitimately don't know that I can beat that right now. So I'm hoping for almost anything else to happen. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So here I'm just going to cast UC Guard Approach. I am going to save Rattle Chains until I have a 4th mana. Mystical Dispute. Oh. I'm going to Rattle Chains and hope to God this does not mean that my opponent is going to come at me with a Shadow's Verdict or something else. So they're going to take 3, go down to 14, and I'm really hoping to... Damn it. Oh God, we're getting dunked on. We're getting dunked on. This is... Yeah, I was going to say this is 100% a Shadow's Verdict. Extinction Event for even. Okay, that is still bad. Oh, okay, well, I'm still going to wait for this until I have a 4th mana. I want to be able to actually use my Lofty Denials. Are we cycling? We're Tainted Indulgence. I actually will use a Lofty Denial on this. And I'm going to tap my 2 non-basic lands here, because just in case opponent wants to use Field of Ruin, that means I'll have 2 untapped lands for another Lofty. So I really highly doubt that they're going to do that before trying to resolve a spell. But, you know, just in case. Oh shit, is that actually what's happening? Oh, no it's not. Okay, so they're going to go up to 3 cards, and we got to look out because there's already a Memory Deluge in the graveyard, so that's going to be a thing that comes up probably sooner rather than later. But now they're on 3 cards. I currently don't have a threat, and they can do this to get rid of one of these lands if they want, but it looks like they don't want. Let's untap. Another Spectral Sailor is not bad. So let's get an attack in, and this is really where I want to draw something along the lines of a, what am I thinking? I would like to draw... I mean, clearly a 4th land, but Disdainful Stroke would do a lot of decent work here. So are we getting rid of my Henge Gate Pathway? We are getting rid of my Henge Gate Pathway. Sure. I do have basic plains in this deck. I will just pass? Yeah. So I could have drawn a card with Spectral Sailor using that 4th point of mana, but I don't think that was the line. Another Field of Ruin. Noted. So let's just cast a Spectral Sailor and see what happens here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they also have enough mana to cast Memory Deluge. That's fine. Okay, they go to 10. I have Hall of Storm Giants tapped. Now, I think I will counter a copy of Memory Deluge if that's what they're casting. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening. So let's do our best to not let that resolve. And if that's a Mystical Dispute, there's nothing I can do about... Oh, consider. Yeah, you got it. All right, so at least the Memory Deluge can kind of fuck off here. And let's see what ends up happening. So, of note, I would still like to see things like a Disdainful Stroke for just better copies, or sorry, better counter spells here, since they have enough land drops to be able to pay for Lofty Denial on a lot of things. So let's see what ends up happening. A Mausoleum Wander. That's okay. Okay, well, let's see if I can continue to evade a Shark Typhoon. Oh, maybe not. What's this? Oh, sure. I actually will be pretty happy to cast Lofty Denial on that. Sick. Consider, sure. One of those is, in fact, not a Fatal Push. That's good news for me. So I'm going to cast this Mausoleum Wanderer, seeing if I can't, like, disguise this Supreme Phantom here, and do the untap. So if I draw another counterspell to go with the Supreme Phantom, or even a copy of like UC Guard Approach, that's pretty good news for me. But let's see what actually ends up happening here. Shadow's Verdict. That sucks. All right, at least pay 1 for it. All right, it resolves now. So they have 3 mana, one of which can be devoted to a Field of Ruin. So here I'm just gonna like resolve the card I have the ability to resolve and kind of keep it moving. So I got a lot of work to do now. They are out of Memory Deluges, which is good to know. Yeah, I was gonna say this is probably going away now. Okay, and that last card was not a Fatal Push, which I guess is pretty good. But now I'm into oh shit territory because it is Hollow Storm Giants. So let's see if I can find a way to outpace 7 damage a turn here. So I'm definitely not blocking that though. Okay, so there is the UC Guard approach, which is actually pretty nifty against the Hall because I can cast that to tap it and pay the 3 in a pinch. So here, I'm gonna save this for exactly 1 more turn. Yeah, and see what I can draw to potentially get out of this. So I'm gonna go to 6. Now let's untap. A Hallowed Fountain is not helpful, unfortunately. So I'm gonna attack. You go to 6. Is there a reason to play my Hallowed Fountain? I don't know that the answer is yes, but I'm gonna play it anyway. Sensor Cycle, you got it. Okay, so now I gotta tap this thing and pay to 3 for the ward, and hope there's no counterspell. If there is an actual counterspell, then I guess I get got and we go to game 3. Oh, looks like there is an actual counterspell. Alright, fine. Game 3. But here, I'm not gonna change anything. Let's think about that. On the play, do I want Cemetery Illuminator more than Wandering Emperor? I think the answer might be no. So Wandering Emperor, of course, costing 1 more is a big deal, and not being able to get rid of Memory Deluge in the graveyard is also a big deal. But Wandering Emperor can't be Mystical Disputed for just 1 mana, and I think that's a bit of a bigger deal. So let's do that. And this hand is much better. So this hand is like actively pretty decent. So here I get a Mausoleum Wanderer start, which is pretty nice, not gonna lie. And then I can have turn 2 land drop. Maybe I draw a 2-drop here. Oh, or we're just Fatal Pushing this now. Oh, no, we're not. All right, I guess I'm gonna untap. Oh man, that's gonna be strong. That's gonna be so strong. That was honestly near perfect with the Rattle Chains, because now if they try to kill this, then that's sick. If they don't try to kill it, then that plays too. And here I don't mind exposing Rattle Chains to a 2-mana counterspell, because then I'll just go ahead and sacrifice Mausoleum Wanderer. And if this is a dispute, then I'm glad to not be Spellquellered. So I will do this, resolve Rattle Chains, and now I get to untap and hold up Spellqueller mana. Oh, there's a Wandering Emperor. Okay, cool. So we'll see if we end up revisiting that talk about having Wanderer as a threat that doesn't get hit by Mystical Dispute. I do need to draw another white land to do so, but so far, oh my god, if they Field of Ruin me, they might actually like super regret that. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't cast Brazen Borrower there. I think that was a mistake. Oh, well, I guess that is a reason to not cast Brazen Borrower. So I will bounce the Shark and hold up. Yeah, this is fine. So the Shark is bounced. I have Brazen Borrower in exile. They take the 2, and I'm still holding up Disdainful Stroke, which is nice. Or if they Field of Ruin, I'm holding up this thing, Brazen Borrower. Porky Pig there. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna do nothing, which is great for me. If they're missing land drops, that is excellent for yours truly. So let's get our attack on here. What is this? Soul Shatter. Do I care about that? I think the answer is no. You can have that. So I'm just gonna make my land drop and then pass. So I really want them to Field of Ruin my Iganjo so that I can float white, get a plains, and cast Wandering Emperor. But if that's not what happens, I'm still cool to just cast this. And I'm gonna bluff Mystical Dispute by holding up this, but if that's not what happens, that is actually fine by me too. And I guess this is their window to Field of Ruin too. So if they have that, and oh my god, they're gonna give me another white source. Sure, that's fine. So they're clearly pretty scared of my, oh, what am I thinking? Oh, that's fine too. So now I get to just untap and resolve Wandering Emperor. So I'll go ahead and make a 2/2, and I don't have a land drop to make, but I'm still pretty excited here. So next turn, I'll have the combination of Spellqueller and Disdainful Stroke. I've got an active Wanderer going on here, and if I Spellqueller something, I can back it up with Rattle Chain. So all in all, I am not sad about this. You see, a guard approach is actually pretty good here. So I'm gonna make this a 3/3 and get to attacking. So what's this, a Fatal Push? It is a Fatal Push. Now, $1,000,000 question. No, it's not. I will protect it. So I think this is still fine. Because they're so hurt for mana, I think it's actually okay to do this, because unless they hit a land drop and have exactly, okay, well, that doesn't count. I was gonna say, and have exactly, what, the land drop plus something else of import, I think we're pretty okay. That actually plays pretty nicely for me. I want to make another 2/2, or do I make this bigger? I think I actually just make another 2/2. This is already outpacing a Shark Typhoon here. If they want to Fatal Push this, then I don't really care anymore. Yeah, like this is pretty damn good. What's this? Deluge? Illumination. I will Disdainful Stroke that. Illumination's one of the better ways for them to be able to catch up and get into this game, and I would rather they didn't get into the game. So here, if they have, what, a Shadow's Verdict, then that's fine. I no longer care. I will just Path of Peril. Good enough. Oh, you know what? Path of Peril is something I can Spell Queller, and I think I actually do want my opponent to exhaust a counterspell. Yeah, so if they have a counterspell for my Spell Queller, then that's actually okay, because I'm still just gonna get to make another one of these. So if this is like a sensor or something, then I don't care. Make disappear. You got it. Yeah, because like the threat I really needed to establish is already on the table. So let's see if I can make it work with another 2/2 here. I have Rattle Chains going, and the cheap sweeper was pretty good, to be fair. But now I would like to draw a lot more spells, please. Like, I'm currently working on 7 lands to my control opponent's 5, and that's not really what I want so that we can get to winning this game. I am, however, going to hold off on casting Rattle Chains, I think. Let's think about that. Do I want to cast Rattle Chains here? I have 3 cards, one of which is most likely a Memory Deluge, or do I want to have another protective spell here? If they have a counter spell, then it's got to be like a Sinister Sabotage. I think this is good, because if they cast that, then it shields down from my Samurai token to be a 3/3. So let's see if that ends up being okay here. Tainted Indulgence. Okay. Good start. What do we get? Another Rattle Chain. That's pretty close to perfect. Ooh. So my effect is still going to resolve. They're going to take 5. And the best part is that they're, what am I thinking? Obviously their Fatal Push is gone, but now they're down to 2 life. So any of these attackers are lethal. If they have a sweeper, then yeah, sure, you got me. But sick. I was gonna say, but if you have a something else, then good luck. But yeah, Wandering Emperor proving real good already. Let's move on to round 2. Alright, we got round 2. We're on the play against Mama Vincia, who I swear is a name that I've seen earlier this week. So I think I played against this person already. Anyway, I'm gonna keep our hand. So I've got 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and I certainly don't hate what's happening here, right? So we're gonna do the time-honored Island Go, Forest, and Elvish Mystic. You got it. So here I'm going to go ahead and do this. It's not quite Bolt the Bird. So what happens here? If I do this, then they can just redeploy and go ahead and cast something like, say, a Wolf Willow Haven or just double Elf, whatever. And I still think that's better than allowing our opponent to have a very easy uncontested Kiora, especially if I'm able to draw a counterspell for a Kiora. Sylvan Caryatid. Okay, so that makes me think that this is not actually the, what am I thinking? That this is not the mono green deck. I actually think this is red green ramp now. So let's see what happens here. If they don't play a land but do play a Nissa's Pilgrimage, okay, never mind. I was gonna say I will counter it with my Mausoleum Wanderer. A Spell Queller is actually a pretty good draw for me. So let's put this into play tapped, and I'm definitely not blocking this Trampling Old Growth Troll. So let's just take him for 4 here. And then if they play something relatively large, that's annoying, but I can't do much about it. If they play something small, I have a Spell Queller. So I take up to 5. Looks like it's 4. Okay. Oath of Nissa with 3 cards. I actually am not going to do anything about that. Let's just let them have that. So this way I can Spell Queller whatever they choose to get. And it looks like there's a Karn. So I will be very happy to Spell Queller the shit out of a Karn. Oh no. So what's this? 3, 4, 5, 6? Okay. Alright, so I am still going to Spell Queller this though. Karn is not exactly something I would enjoy dealing with right now. An Old Growth Troll, you got it. So if they're just playing Old Growth Trolls, I actually don't really mind because I'm winning this part of the race. So I get to do this, attack them for what, 4, 5, 6? That takes them down to 8. And that plus my Brazen Bower is exactly lethal. Well, not exactly. I do a little better than that, but the idea still stands. We're doing okay here. I don't enjoy if their draw step is, say, a, what, Cavalier of Thorns? That sucks. So I go to 8, and they have 2 cards. Let's see what they are. Well, this is gonna suck. Another Karn. Damn it. So let's see what they get here. They can get Battle Boat. I don't think that's helpful, is it? Because Battle Boat can target Spell Queller. I can Selfless Spirit to save Spell Queller, play Brazen Bower, untap, and literally any spirit allows me to win the game with a trigger on this. It is Battle Boat. Okay, we're casting the Battle Boat. Not much I can do about that part of things. Okay, so it looks like that is exactly how this is going to work. So we're going to save our Spell Queller here to prevent them from getting another Karn. And now I get to cast this. And I'm currently looking at 7 damage and they're at 8, so I just need that place. So I'm just gonna give something a +1 counter now. You can have a +1 counter. And now we're doing exactly 8. All at the face, nothing is attacking Karn. Yeah. Alright, so looks like it in fact was mono green. So we've got Disdainful Strokes here, and Portable Holes for the little Munchkin Elves. Cards that I don't particularly want against this deck. Cemetery Illuminator is okay at best. You see, a Guard Approach is not great here. It's not unacceptable, but they're not exactly playing a bunch of spot removal. And the Wandering Emperor, as clutch as she was there, is not actually good in this matchup. Here we go. So now let's take out these cards that are very good against 1 or 2 things happening at once, but not against 50 things happening at once, and instead play the cards that we actually want to see. In this hand, it doesn't have a 1-drop, which is a little bit sad times, but honestly, I'm still pretty okay with it. So the combination of Lofty Denial and Disdainful Stroke is actually somewhat promising, and a Portable Hole is pretty good. So let's go ahead and slow them down for a little bit like that. Oath of Nissa, you got it. They find another Land of Were-Elves. Okay, so that makes sense. They have 8 of those effects in this. Oh my god, White Border, you are killing me, opponent. Alright, so here I am going to hold up the combination of Counterspell and Rattle Chains, so I don't actually need to tap out for anything. I would really love to see some lands at some point soon. Without a clock, I'm not going to be able to actually wear them out of stuff. So is this a Kiora? It is. So there's nothing I can do about Kiora, so you got that. Another Oath of Nissa. Okay, and what do we find with Oath of Nissa? They find a Cavalier. Okay, so hello Rattle Chains, come in and do a thing, allow me to play at instant speed. That is not a land. So this is actually not that bad for me here, because the way they have to do the turn here will actually allow me to use Lofty Denial, which is really nice. By the time we start going into like a part of the game that gets especially dangerous for me, I'm going to be wanting to use these Disdainful Strokes instead. So the fact that I actually will get to use my Lofty Denial proactively seems pretty good. Are we doing nothing? We're doing nothing. Okay. That's, they could have just gone 1, 2, 3, 4 and then untap a land 5 and then use that to actually play the Cavalier. So the fact that they're choosing to not do that is actually a little astonishing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll take the W, but what are you thinking about cast? Oh, something that I can't counter. All right, well, can't counter it. So I guess my Rattle Chains is being sacrificed to the gods here. That's annoying. I could play another Supreme Phantom to save this, but I think it's more important for me to not let that Cavalier resolve, so I kind of gotta let this slide. So that's what's gonna happen. To be fair, I guess I should have seen that coming. But upside, I do have an entire another... Oh, we're dealing with a lot of mana. What is this? 9? Oh, no, that can't tap yet. Never mind. 8. Karn. Okay, so unfortunate. That does mean I gotta Disdainful Stroke it because I can't Lofty Denial, and this is where these lack of land drops is going to kill me here. Oh, hey, as Kristen often likes to say, the power of complaining. Now, give me a 4th one so that I can both Rattle Chains and use a counter spell in the same turn, and then we'll be talking here. So I will potentially get to actually use... Oh, never mind. I was gonna say I could actually use a Lofty Denial to counter their, what's that card called? Yeah, this thing. But that's not really on the table, so I'm gonna pack it up and move to game 3 here. Do I want anything else here? For example, the Angels. I think the answer is still no. Yeah, that answer is still no. I'm just gonna resubmit like this. So let's play first this time. And, oh, come on. Too many lands. All right, go away. This is a lot better. I will still need to see a 3rd land. So we have some thinking to do. Things that I can do include playing Glacial Fortress first, turn 2 guaranteed Supreme Phantom. Or I can play this now, which I think is what I'm supposed to do. And this gives me the option to draw almost any other land to be productive on turn 2 and then turn 3 Glacial Fortress. So I can draw any of like Hallowed Fountain, a basic. That's not even that bad if I'm being honest. It's not great, but it's not the worst. So now this is probably another setup turn, and assuming I'm right about that, of course, it is a setup turn, okay? So if I untap here relatively safely, that is not relatively safety, damn it. But we did get the 4th land, so I can't really do much about the Skylasher until I see like a Portable Hole or something. What's this? The Kiora. I will relish in my ability to Spell Queller that. Okay, so I can do this. Each of these becomes a 3/3, and I do get reasonable attacks in here. If they have another Skylasher and double block me, I'm, you know, you got me. Should I give them the chance to do that? Am I winning the game if I don't attack? I think the answer is no. If they have a second Skylasher, I'm prepared to just, yeah, all right. So, I don't know, it's what it is. I don't hate losing to the very, very dedicated hate card. You got me, opponent. Let's move on to the next round. All right, we got our 3rd round. We're on the play. That's hype. This hand is the exact opposite of that. This one, however, is not bad. So I've got a turn 1 tap land, turn 2 plains, turn 3 untapped land. So I will keep this. It looks like our opponent's mulliganing as well, which I guess is preferable. I want to... Yeah. We're going to skip out on this Alpha Spirit here. I mean, I guess I could have actually just skipped out on the Mausoleum Wanderer. And you know what? That was probably a little better, actually. Stormcarved Coast tapped. Oh, dang. Little sad about not having access to the untapped blue source for this one here, but you know, Fiery Impulse, good night, sweet prince. So we do, of course, have the land here. And I've got Spell Queller this turn, and if not, no, I've just got Spell Queller this turn. What am I talking about? I don't really want to do anything else. So here I get to just untap, and a Lofty is actually not a bad draw. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Mausoleum Wanderer, and this might disguise the fact that I actually do have a Spell Queller up my sleeve here. So if they go ahead and end of turn like removal spell, then that's kind of whatever. Oh, no? Well, we take those, but we should watch out for the fact that they have 5 cards in hand now. What's this? A Ledger Shredder. Okay, so Ledger Shredder, I want to Spell Queller you. So we can do this. Mausoleum Wanderer goes up to 2. So what's this? I have absolutely no idea what they're... Oh my god, they're playing Lofty Denial. Cool. Not happening, but cool. So now I have both. Oh my god, our hand is so strong now. All right, sick. So we've got lots of protection, a couple of counter spells here. And unfortunately for them, it's the same counter spell. So I won't lie and say I don't dig what they're doing though. Chart of course. You should not have access to cards. Okay, fine. That one you can have. So if they like consider Spin a Phoenix and then okay. And a Delver? Okay, people will keep trying to play Delver. Noted. I don't know why I continue to act surprised every time somebody does that. People have been trying to play Delver since like 1902, and it's just not getting any better. Watch it flip right now, though. Haha, there it is. And there's our Strangle. Okay, so I'm about to get blown out for all the shit I talked just now. So let's walk ourselves into another counter spell. No? Okay, well, that plays then. What's this? Another chart, of course. A Treasure Cruise. Yeah, alright, well, not much I'm doing about that. And a Sprite Dragon. Okay, you may have these things, opponent. Oh, we're just not doing anything else. Okay. I'm going to attack with my Rattle Chains then. See if they want to trade a Sprite Dragon for it. We do not want to trade Sprite Dragon for it. Okay, well, looks like they're going to untap now. And I do have 2 Lofty Denials, but it's looking a little precarious now. So let's see what happens. We're still not attacking with anybody. Okay, Absorb. That's not terrible. So I can't really attack into the Sprite Dragon here because of the fact that it's going to be a 3/3 and it can outpace my Rattle Chains pretty easily. So I don't know that we're really winning this game anymore is kind of what I'm getting at here. So I will be able to do this. Okay, so that's not nothing. And I think it's fairly clear they don't really have like a great spell here. So I think I will risk 1 attack. Okay, cool. Okay, so there's a consider. So now this 3/3 is gonna be bigger than basically everything I got going on currently. Oh my. Unfortunately, we got, whoa, still not attacking with Sprite Dragon. Oh, that's actually not bad. And because of Rattle Chains, I don't actually have to cast it now. I can wait until my opponent's turn and see if they dump an Arclight Phoenix into the graveyard. Okay, and there's a Strangle. Great. Oh, how do we get out of this? I don't know if we do. I think we should move to the next game. So that's unfortunate. So I've got Portable Holes, I've got 5/5 Angels, Mystical Disputes, and Cemetery Illuminators, all of which I actually like here. Things that I don't really know that I want. The Lofty Denials are okay. Brazen Borrowers, I think, are actively like kind of bad. You see a Guard Approach. Spectral Sailor is also pretty bad. And I've got one more spot of something to take out here, and I think that's going to be the second copy of Absorb. I don't really know that I want more than one of those here, because there's going to be some turns where I'm tapping out anyway, like Cemetery Illuminator, Baneslayer, this thing. So this is a really robust sideboard, but I think this is what's appropriate for here. Okay, so there we have it, a really robust sideboard plan. And let's be on the play. And this hand is fine. This hand is fine. So I get to do this into Mausoleum Wanderer and see what happens from here. That is a Delver. Okay, so let's play this. I'm gonna play my Selfless Spirit and then get an attack for 2 in. And do we flip? We flip. Okay, I'm officially not liking our opponent right now. Like, getting to actually flip your Delvers is, we're on some BS right now. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get this thing off the table. Portable Hole is nice. I want to resolve my 3-drop first and potentially walk into a Strangle. No, let's not do that. I'm just gonna get this Ledger Shredder off the table and stop them from being able to dig through their deck. This also lets me hold up a Guard Approach, which is nice. So next turn, if I get to draw land, resolve this, and hold up a Guard Approach, then I'll feel pretty good about that. Another Delver, okay, and another Delver. Okay, we are full of Delvers. There was a land, perfect. So now I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it pre-combat, because if this is not a Mystical Dispute, then I get the extra point to attack, and if it is, I can just do this. So now this is going to hit the table. I see a creature on top of my deck, and I can't cast it, so I'm going to take their... I think I still want to take the Delver. I'm still going to take the Delver, so I'm going to put this over here, and watch these things flip. I'm going to be so pissed. Oh my god. I'm so mad already. And it's a Dispute? Gee. Alright, opponent. This Fry. Well, luckily, you tapped your mana. Phew. Okay, I am definitely taking that. Yeah. And it's another Rattle Chains. That's really nice for me, actually. I love that for us. So here, there's a creature under here now, so I'm going to take an instant next. So this actually plays pretty nicely here. So if they try to do a removal spell, like another Fry or a Strangle or something, I'm going to take this Rattle Chains off of the top of my deck, and then I'll be able to respond with this Rattle Chains, which is super sick. Or if they just do nothing, then I'm still going to cast this. Oh, hey, there's a land for our Lyra. Nice. Okay. Oh, I'm going to very much not pay for that. So there's 2 lands. I'm going to do this because I want them to try to fry my Cemetery Illuminator now. Yeah, sick. So the Illuminator has certainly done its job. So I get to just do this and this. So hopefully they don't have, like, I don't know, a Brazen Borrower or something. I should probably hold back in case they actually do. Because if I were to attack and then they, like, Petty Theft this, then they can just attack me for lethal because I'm at 6. So I can just, like, chill for exactly 1 turn and then untap and get a real attack in. Hell yeah, let's go. All right, so obviously I would like to run that back. Our hand is actually pretty good. All right, let's see what our opponent comes up with. No Delver, nice. I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna hold it up because we have Mystical Dispute for a potential Ledger Shredder. I would rather not deal with that if possible. Opt is kind of whatever. So any of their 2 drops will be things that I'm pretty happy to counter spell here. Good enough, get it out my face. And now if I draw another one, I'll be happy to play the oh, that plays 2. So that's actually kind of nice. So here, assuming this turn isn't too offensive, I can just play this and have access to my Spell Queller. So let's get my attack in here and see if I can't Spell Queller something nice and relevant. Or if they just want to cast, like, I don't know, a Strangle, then I don't mind. Oh my god, a Delver didn't flip, y'all. The Delver didn't flip. Never in the history of this match has the Delvers not flipped. Alright, so here's this. I'm actually fine with that. And I will cast an empty Spell Queller. I should probably tap for white though. So if they want to, like, dispute this, then honestly, whatever. But I want resources out of their hand. I want things to do on my end. They're opt, okay, that's fine. If they're digging for a Lofty Denial, oh, hell yeah. This is a Fry? A Fiery Impulse, and you have 2 spells now. Yeah. Alright, you got it. I will not give you 2 creatures for the sake of keeping my 2/3 alive. Untap. Portable Hole is actually pretty good here. So I can do this, and hold up my Spell Queller at the same time. Another Consider, you got it. So now they're getting really close to Treasure Cruise territory, which, to be fair, is not exactly what I want to see our opponents able to do, but if that is what's happening, then I can't really do much about it. And I don't mind untapping and just getting my attack on here. A Hall of Storm Giants is not the worst draw. We're getting pretty close to the point in the game where I'm actually able to fire that up soon, so if that's what ends up winning this matchup, then I guess I will take whatever doubt or sarcasm I had about this card earlier away. A second Rattle Chains. Okay, so far so good. So you go to 12, and they are amassing quite the bit of resources. They have 5 cards in hand, so I'm a little worried about how much removal they could have, but if they're going to be stuck on mana, then I'm pretty okay to just, honestly, I'm just going to cast one of these. A Fiery Impulse on my Mausoleum Wanderer. So now let's do this and try to protect the Wanderer. So here's that on the one they're protecting. Looks like Impulse is not going to resolve, and we untap. Ooh, Mystical Dispute is nice. So now I get to attack for 6. They're hopefully going to 6, and let's see what happens from here. So if they have some kind of sweeper they want to cast, then it's still going to be weak to the combo of Spell Queller plus Mystical Dispute, and I will definitely Mystical Dispute this while I have the chance to do so. Ooh, let's go. All right, so we move on to, I believe, 2 and 1, and yeah, see y'all in the next round. Yo, welcome to round 4. We are on the draw with an absolute shitter of a hand, and this is much better. So I will certainly keep this. My opponent has revealed a Yorion, so I think I want to keep this and pitch the Absorb. Yeah, so this is not guaranteed to be a deck that's not blue-white, so, and there we go. So I want to keep this for a potential Shark Typhoon token, and the fact that I've got a Wandering Emperor lined up is actually pretty good. I'm kind of happy about that. Not that. That makes me a little sad, but that's okay. So if this is exactly like a Narset, then yeah, sure, I'm sad about that. But if they do something other than Narset, oh good. So I can just do this, get my attack on, and then I've got Spell Quellers lined up for almost whatever. I Ganjo. Well, there's nothing I can do about that, so you got me. But now I've got Queller, Lofty, and this entire hand being instant speed is pretty sweet for just us. So I am going to jam a Naked Spell Queller here. They'll want to establish a clock, and if they want to counterspell this, then that's a Deluge. Okay. Yes, sir. Land me, please, and thank you. So now we're getting to the territory where they're still going to be able to make land drops because of that Deluge they just resolved, but like, I'm still kind of doing okay here. So that's That's not bad. And now if they want to come at me with a Shark Typhoon token, I've got the Brazen Borrower already in hand, so I can bounce their Shark and continue to hold up Spell Queller mana, which is nice. If I had exactly another land here, I would be able to Wandering Emperor in simply plus, but I only have 5 lands and I don't want them to resolve a Teferi, so I'm going to let them have the Shark and then Petty Theft it, and then continue to hold up my Spell Queller mana, which incidentally is also Brazen Borrower mana now. Okay, so we've got 6 lands, there's the Narset that we were concerned about before, and I think I want to use my Lofty while I still have the chance. So if this is like an Absorb or something for the Lofty, then yeah, sure, you got it. But like, oh, sick. Is it just another Narset then? It's not. It's a nothing. I am a fan of my opponent. Ooh, that's good too. So upsides of that play. Of course, I have my Spell Queller still in hand, but that does take the shields down against something like, say, a Teferi. So hopefully that's not what happens to us here, but I'll just do this for now. Wandering Emperor? That's a yes. Untap. So let's get our attack on here. And if this is a Wandering Emperor, then I've got this. Oh, it's a March. Oh, I really don't care about that. Hexproof me, please. All right, so take your 5, go to 8. And now they're in territory where they kind of have to find something like, say, a Supreme Verdict. So let's see if that's what ends up happening here. I hope not, of course. So there it is. And they've got 4 mana and 4 cards. Yikes. So I am very scared of like an Absorb here. Still no Absorb. Okay, is there another March? Please no. It is the March. Okay, so upsides, downsides. Obvious downsides are that my creatures are all dead, so say goodnight to my friends. But, oh, that's not bad. But I get to resolve my Wandering Emperor here, and I get to immediately make a token plus a Supreme Phantom. So we at least have just like a couple of threats immediately redeployed here. Castle Ardenvale is annoying, so is another Supreme Verdict. Okay, and Otawara is actually not bad. So let's just make another 2/2, and then just kind of chill here. So they have the mana for another Memory Deluge out of their graveyard, so I do need to pay attention to that. You can have your 1/1 opponent. So what's this? Otawara, my token. Okay, so I have a decision to make. They have not played a land. I can use the Otawara to bounce my own Wandering Emperor, and I'm feeling like that's kind of the play here. I also could have bounced a token, but with my Wandering Emperor at just 1, I don't really think that was like a good / reliable plan. So now what? They just have another Deluge. Okay, a Hallowed Fountain. Honestly, not a great draw. So let's do this, and I'm just gonna get to make another token here. So I am, oh, come on. Oh my god, all right. I get it, we're dead. So against blue-white, I want another Illuminator, and then like all of these blue cards. Cards that I don't really want include the Absorbs when I'm already putting in other counterspells. I don't want the 2 mana counterspells when I'm putting in a giant pile of Mystical Disputes, and I guess I'm not gonna side in the Cemetery Illuminator after all. So I'll stick with the one that I have then. Yeah, okay, I think this is acceptable. Okay, so let's take these out. Let's put in our slightly more efficient counterspells in, and here I would really love to start seeing cards like Selfless Spirit against all of these Supreme Verdicts. The worst part is, when actually building this deck, I was considering putting in a 4th copy of Selfless Spirit, but that is not what we're playing today. Okay, let's see. We have our hand, and it's another stinker. What is this? Okay, this is much better. So I'm going to keep this, pitch to Spectral Sailor, and be pretty happy about a decent curve. So we've got a Mausoleum Wanderer deployed and a Portable Hole probably. Yes. Okay. So we're gonna bounce the Portable Hole, unlocking my Mausoleum Wanderer, and that does a couple of things. Of course, if they want to Portable Hole this, then they got to do a little bit extra work, and I'm a lot more likely to be able to resolve my Brazen Borrower in response to that. And if they just decide to do something else, then I've got my Spell Queller. Okay. So now I'm gonna cast this now. This way, if they actually have like a Censor or Jwari Disruption, this still plays really nicely around that because I can just pop this. Okay, so now I get off. Pretty sweet attack here, but let's not be mistaken, I still have a lot of work to do. Oh, you know what? I should have played the Hallowed Fountain. Now they know I don't have Wandering Emperor. That was a mistake. A Disdainful Stroke, however, is pretty nice, so let's do that. And I can't do much about a Shark Typhoon for 1, but I do have the combination of Spell Queller plus Disdainful Stroke, so a lot of other bases are pretty well covered here. Not doing anything about this. So now a Shark Typhoon, X is 3, so it is able to trade with my Brazen Borrower. Obviously, I'm not a fan of that, but I can't do much about it, so. But it is nice if they just simply don't have it. Okay, looks like one of my lands is going bye-bye. That's fine, I've got a small pile of basics. Okay, so they cycle the farmland, and they still have 7 cards in hand. That is so many. A Mystical Dispute is nice, but honestly, this might be one that I gotta pack up. If they make a Shark for 4, I'm pretty SOL if that's the case. Okay. Luckily, that's not the case, so, oh boy. So they get to, oh, Deluge. I will use my Mystical Dispute because I don't know if I'm going to get another chance to use this. Dovin's Veto? It is. Okay. I would still like to deny you cards. Okay, so there's a Teferi. And, oh, they're tucking. All right. In that case, I'm gonna see if this is not a mystical dispute. Please don't dispute. Okay, good. They can, of course, march and get rid of a couple of cards, but it looks like that's not what they have. So, phew. I am gonna clear Teferi here. And the cool part about the Iganjo here, too, is that I will be able to clear out like a Shark Typhoon, but I'm fairly worried about the shape of the rest of this game. There's a Hall of Storm Giants. They have 4 cards and 4 mana. What am I doing? Oh, well, it is nice that they didn't just buy their copy of Yorion here. Mausoleum Wanderer is okay. I'm gonna play it before attacking. I don't know what 2 mana instant they could have here, but might as well play around it with the Wanderer. So they go to 5, and I know that my draw step is finally going to be the Brazenbower, so if I get to untap with my friends here... Oh, we're just casting Shark Typhoons. Oh, fuck. Alright. So there goes my Mausoleum Wanderer. You got it. And we're just making another shark. Okay. So we already knew what that was. So that's just kind of whatever. So here, I guess I just attack. Odd. So how do I get out of this if they simply upkeep this to look for literally any spell? I guess I could respond to that by bouncing the Shark Typhoon. That feels bad. Nope, they didn't even upkeep. Okay. Are they just casting us 8 mana? What the hell is 8? Fucking hell. Oof. What the hell is this? I mean, it's gonna resolve. I can't do anything about an Ugin. So they can lightning bolt this thing. And what am I even hoping to draw? I'll give myself a draw step. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm hoping. That's definitely not it. All right, well, that's gonna be that. Let's go to 2 and 2 and see y'all in round 5. Okay, round 5, we are on the draw. Yeah, we're on the draw. And our hand is okay, not great. They revealed a Gigantha. So I'm thinking they're going to be some flavor of blue-red here. Nope, Jund stuff. Which also means I officially have absolutely no idea what's about to happen. So let's do this and this, and, well, I guess see where this goes. So this could just... Oh my god, are we playing against Niv-Mizzet? We are playing against Niv-Mizzet. Wow, haven't seen you in a while. Alright, well, let's start here, and I'm gonna start with my friend Selfless Spirit. So next turn they can play 4 drops, and I guess the 4 drops can look a lot like what? They can look like copies of Binding the Old Gods? Like, I don't even know what they're playing anymore. Vanishing Verse? Valky. Sure. So they're gonna see my Supreme Phantom here, which is unfortunate because I did want it. But I get to untap, hold up a counterspell, and then just kind of go from there. This is actually pretty good, because now I have UC Guard Approach and a counterspell, and it didn't see the UC Guard Approach, so that's especially nice. So let's get my attack for 3 on here. So what cards can they not have because of the thing? They just bought Gigantha. Noted. Rattle Chains is actually a pretty... Oh, god damn it. Alright. Fuck. Because now they can just turn this into Supreme Verdict, or Supreme Phantom, and I'm not beating that, so I'll just untap. Oh, I'm so mad. Yeah, you got it. Oh, Glacial Fortress. Why? 3, 4... Are you just Niv mana? Oh, duh, you're just casting your big elk. Do I even care about that if I'm being honest? I don't think I should let that resolve. So, I'm not actually scared of Gigantha, but I am scared of it being able to make just bring to light mana, and I think that's a good enough reason to not really want to deal with it, right? So here I'm going to tap this, and now I can Wandering Emperor it. All right, give me my Supreme Phantom back and take this attack. So now if they want to resolve like a bring to light, they need an untapped land. If they want to, what is this? Omnath. Well, luckily I already didn't have a counterspell for that anyway, so because we already had to use our Lofty Denial. So they're gonna go up to 14 here, and I won't lie and say I enjoy that. So here I want to counter here, resolve this, so that's 7. Yeah, all right, I'm here for this. Let's get some attacks in. And if opponent wants to attack into Wandering Emperor, I don't mind flashing in Spectral Sailor to make a blocker, and I'm still have another UCA Guard Approach to give something hexproof. So that's actually not even bad. Dreadbore, targeting Selfless Spirits. Okay, so I guess I will give you hexproof. And I still like this line better than doing the thing with Rattle Chains here. Deafening Clarion. Okay, I am gonna make you pay 2. Wait a minute, I don't need to do anything else here, right? I don't need to block this, duh. If they have a land drop, I guess I will have medium regrets about not blocking, but they don't, so I'm just gonna try to win. Hell yeah. All right, so against Niv, I want Disdainful Strokes, and that's actually it. Yeah. That's it. I don't really want Wandering Emperors. I do want Disdainful Strokes. I guess I'll put in a Disdainful or a Mystical Dispute for a Cemetery Illuminator. Actually, I'll put in all of those over Absorbs. Yeah, so when Absorb and Mystical Dispute might as well be the same card for this matchup, but Mystical Dispute has the ability to be 1 mana, so I think that's just like a strict upgrade in this matchup, because it hits what? Niv-Mizzet, it hits Spring to Light itself, it hits Omnath, so yeah, alright, I'm here for that. So I will keep our hand. Our opponent's mulliganing to 6, and this is still pretty satisfactory, right? Like Wanderer, Rattlechain, Spell Queller is a pretty sweet curve. That is Bant Triumph. Yes, so let's see if this is just like a Caryatid or what. It is a Caryatid, okay. So that's actually not a bad draw either. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play this, and I don't really know what blue-white has the ability to bluff other than Dovin's Veto, but it's pretty free to bluff a Dovin's Veto, so just on the off chance they want to play around it, I'll let them. I'm honestly not super sure that actually solves any problems here, but our life total doesn't necessarily matter too much in this matchup, so I think it's kind of free to maybe overload them with a little extra info. 3 mana is Wandering Mind. Honestly, that's kind of a cool include. I don't like this picture, or that's false. I like the picture. I don't like the frame. That's more accurate. Another Wandering Mind. Okay, so this time I'm gonna Spell Queller, and let's see if this is something other than Abrupt Decay, because my Maz Wanderer can solve a lot of problems. It can't solve an Abrupt Decay though. So opponent, pretty please have almost any other piece of removal, or just don't have any at all. That works too. All right, well, I'm gonna attack. So you take 3, go to 15, and we don't really need to do anything else here. So what is this? Oh, a Growth Spiral. Okay, yeah, you got it. They did not put a land into play. Okay, so now that I've got 3 cards, potentially all 3 are actual business cards too, so that's medium scary. Another Growth Spiral, okay. This time they find a Ketria Triumph and a Zagoth Triumph. Last 3 mana is what? Buying Gigantha, you got it. Do I want to jam Spell Queller? No, but I will jam Rattlechains. That's actually pretty good. So having a 5th land allows me to Spell Queller plus Lofty, and now I've got exactly a 3-turn clock, so they go down to 10. Okay, I'm here for this. Hinterland Harbor, I know one of their cards is the Gigantha. Bring to Light. Well, I definitely do not want that to resolve, so I'm gonna do this while they can only pay 3 of the 4. Woo, let's go. All right, 3 and 2. All right, so our 5 rounds are over, and I'll be honest, I did enjoy this slightly bigger version of Blue-White Spirits. So the Wandering Emperors were, of course, really good, so she came in pretty clutch. I liked her, and I've been excited about playing her in a shell-like Spirits for a pretty long time, so the fact that that time has finally arrived made me pretty happy to play her. I also liked playing the Cemetery Illuminators, so the one in the main and the one in the board I think is probably the way to go, and yeah, I would totally play these again going forward as well. Like, when it was good, it was really good, and when it was medium, it was still, like, fine. I don't necessarily enjoy playing things at sorcery speed, but that's just me being spoiled by playing this deck for years. A thing that I would definitely change, though, the Selfless Spirit count I think should just be at 4. Right now, there's a lot of decks like Blue-White Control, and other decks that are playing sweepers too. Like, we played in this league. We played against Niv, and Blue-White, and Blue-Black, and all of those decks play sweepers. Decks like Phoenix are also able to just play things like Flame Sweep, Anger the Gods, what's the cycling one? Sweltering Suns, and all kinds of other things that we don't really want to deal with. So I think we could very well be playing a 4th copy of Selfless Spirit, and honestly probably should be. The Lofties were of course really good. The Usia Guard approaches, I understand that these were the Shark Typhoon spots in the original list, and I very much loved the Hexproof on here, but I also think I don't want to play a deck that is this big again without also exploring the idea of the Shark Typhoons. So I could probably take out like the 2 Absorbs and put Shark Typhoons in those spots. Yeah, that sounds like something that could work. So if we took out the Absorbs and instead played Shark Typhoons there, keeping our 12 counterspells in just the Lofties, Spell Quellers, and Mausoleum Wanderers, that's already a pretty robust counterspell base. That's actually more counterspells than Blue-White Control plays anyway. So that could just be the wave from here on. I could play 2 Shark Typhoons in these Absorb spots, play a 4th Selfless Spirit over the Cemetery Illuminator, and then that'll let us keep the copies of Usia Guard approach, and that's still pretty big as far as the Spirits list goes. The lands, Honestly, the glacial fortresses were pretty awkward. Um, they, yeah, that was just really awkward. So the fact that those came in tapped with pathways more than once made me obviously a little sad every time it happened. I also don't know that I hate the idea of simply just like playing more basics, because that was just like really awkward, and I don't remember it costing us any games, but it totally had the potential to. Like, there were a few turns in which I would otherwise, with just basic island, right, would have had the ability to simply play a second Mausoleum Wanderer, or, you know, just like develop another attack or play like a Selfless Spirit on turn 2 or something, right? And I just wasn't able to because of the way the mana base was set up. So we could just play other cards that are just like not slightly awkward glacial fortresses. We could play second copies of either Iganjo or Otawara. We could play a second copy of Hall of Storm Giants, so it'll always come into play untapped on turn 2 when you usually need it most. But doing that runs the risk of it coming into play tapped on turn 3, which is a big deal when you have Spell Queller in your deck. So we could play another copy of Iganjo or Otawara. We could play another basic land. The original list had exactly one copy of Secluded Courtyard, and I don't think I'm there. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. I know that I'm not there, but I am not against the idea of playing a second copy of Iganjo. I think I do like that. As for the sideboard, I think this sideboard, the way that we have it set up for this league, I love this sideboard. The only thing that I would consider changing here is maybe taking out the Cemetery Illuminator and instead playing a copy of Unlicensed Hearse. That's it. I want the knockout blows. The Angels were excellent. Portable Hole was great. Disdainful Stroke was just as good as I thought it would be. And Mystical Dispute hasn't exactly lost its job in the format. So these sideboard spots are, I think, exactly what I would bring, minus the Cemetery Illuminator for an Unlicensed Hearse, for almost any big tournament that I were to play this deck in. The main deck, we can talk about that. But the sideboard, I think I absolutely love, and would very happily run that back exactly as it is, minus the one swap we mentioned. But that's going to be my take on this deck. Honestly, had a pretty good time playing it, and I will probably explore slightly bigger versions of just playing decks like blue-white, or even mono-blue with a slightly bigger twist like we did in Explorer format before, and see what really comes of that, because just there's always a million ways to build these decks. Like, we've played traditional blue-white spirits on this channel before, we've played Curious Obsession with blue-white spirits before, now we're playing a slightly bigger, more controlling version of blue-white spirits today. There's always something to do with this archetype, and that's part of what makes it so fun. So I'm really hoping that y'all enjoyed today's video as much as I did. If you did, make sure to like the video and let me know. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're growing pretty quickly, and let's be real, I love that. And other than that, I will see y'all on the next one.